It was 20 years ago, it's a long time, 1978 when I was a police officer. I actually had a confrontation with one of these things when I was a working police officer, and I was on duty one night in 78 when me and a colleague actually had a confrontation with one of these things.
Where was this?
This was commonly near Skipton in North Yorkshire, and I was driving a police car, he was the observer, and we came round a bend in a country lane, and there was this thing sitting in the air in front of us, and it was absolutely stunning to see. It was a huge disc, about 100 feet in diameter, had a dome on the top of it, with what appeared to be portals, darkened portals around the dome. It had a skirting around the underside and coloured flashing lights which were flashing on and off, almost like a neon sign effect. And there was 3 large globes or balls protruding from the underside. They were spaced evenly on the underside. I stopped the car and we got out. There was a very, very heavy static had come on the police car radio at that time. I don't know the cause of it. It may have been because of this thing was there, but it wouldn't be right to jump to conclusion. But this static suddenly set up on the radio, and I got out of the car, both of us did, and we stood there sort of open mouth looking at this thing as it slowly moved away from us. But despite its enormous size, there was no sound coming from the damn thing. The only sound that we heard at that time was where it was displaced in the air when it started to move away from us. And the thing was, though, it was absolutely beautiful to look at. I couldn't help remembering at the time, thinking, what kind of engineers put something like this together? Because it was absolutely extraordinary, it was. And that's what got me into the thing, because I was determined I was going to find out. I mean, I'd not long been out of the RAF, and my last postings, I'd been on Air Force bases where they were testing the very latest technology in aircraft. And at that time, the aircraft of the time, which we were under test, were the Lightning, because it was a Lightning station when I was on, and the Canberra. And that was our most advanced technology at the time. They were only testing them at that time, they test flying them. Now this thing was years and years and years ahead of anything like that. There was no question about it at all. It was something that we hadn't got, and I knew it from the moment I saw it.
Skeptics and debunkers, of course, would continue to maintain that all such accounts of so-called alien abductions are foolish nonsense. How would you counter these?
Well, first of all, it was the skeptics and debunkers that said that the world was flat for 300 years, despite some of the top scientists of the time saying it was round. It's very, very easy for a skeptic or debunker to turn around and say to people who've done years and years of research, this is absolute rubbish. It's very, very easy. This is what they do all the time. And of course, when we say, well, you prove to me that what I'm saying is rubbish, and they will turn around and say, well, it's not for us to prove that you're right. It's not for us to prove that you're wrong. It's for you to prove that you're right. And so we're always going to be faced with this thing, and as much information as you put before these people, they will do their best to pull it to pieces. But the facts are the facts. Particularly if we talk about things like alien abductions, where there's such a wide variety of people being involved in this, and I'm talking about highly intelligent people, and a great many who know nothing whatsoever about the subject. We're getting them all over the world, as you well know. People who are very, very backward, are not in touch with the media and things like that, and they're telling the same stories. Now, is everybody imagining things? Is everybody making these things up? What have they to gain, particularly these sort of backward countries, by saying things like this? But that is not the point. It's the facts that point to abduction, and there are so many, many facts which are occurring repeatedly, which I'm absolutely convinced they're taking place.
Finally, there are people probably watching this interview and wondering, is this man for real? Are UFOs real? If you could look at that person right now, what would you say?
I would say, first of all, seek and you will find. But don't just condemn this subject without investigating it. It's very, very easy to turn around and condemn things just off the top of your head. We've put a lot of time and a lot of years into this investigation. And I can assure you, without any question of a doubt, that aliens are here, aliens have been here for a long time, and aliens are in contact with various elements of the military and other countries, diplomats. It wouldn't be prudent to me to say any more at this time, but if you can believe me if you wish. If you don't believe me, well, that's entirely up to you. But I gain nothing by saying these things. Only these are the things that I have uncovered during my investigations.